Hello and welcome out to this episode of Outbreak Gamers. I'm your host, David Anthony. WebDave's my gamer tag, and I am very pleased to have in the audience today as a special guest, Hargeet Chani. Hargeet, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's a nice
Awesome.
Labor Day here today, so
It
nice
is.
day
It
out.
is. It is. And like had the free time to do this interview, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time. The show is kind of about the gaming community and some of the interesting people that I find that I enjoy listening to and their comments and their angles and perspective. And you are definitely one of those. So just want to say thanks again for being here, and we'll get things started.
Sure.
Cool. Get the scroll going at the bottom. Make sure I got that going. Okay, so Hargeet, let's see. I guess it's something to start with would be kind of like maybe what kind of jobs or education have you had in your lifetime that you want to
Yeah.
talk about?
Yeah, so being Indian, my parents required me to, like when I was a baby, you have to be a doctor and go to Harvard. Those were not options.
Wow.
That's just part of being Indian.
Yeah.
So so I started pre-med and went to BU for like a year. I saw the loans and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I went to UMass for a couple more years. I then got a summer job at Motorola, and I find out like companies pay for school, and I'm like, wait, why am I taking loans? Like, what? So
Yeah.
I had learned computers to play video games, and and because of that, I knew computers. I could easily manage them. So that was the summer job. It was just managing a lab of Windows machines, and I'm like, this is easy. And I'm like, oh, I could just keep doing this, and you'll pay me, and I can like go to school for free. Yeah, why don't we just do that? And I
Nice.
switched to computer science. And at that point, I'm like, fine, I'll go back to BU because I'm not paying for it. I don't care. Like so
Yeah.
I finished my bachelor's there, and then I went on to my master's and got that from Harvard to appease my father, who would never get off my back if I didn't get a Harvard degree. So fine, I
Right.
got that degree and gave it to him. There you go, here's your degree. I didn't need it because I learned computers and did it on my own, right? So I understood what I had to do, but I got the degrees, put it out of the way, whatever. So I got my my education that way, and then stayed in computers, and I've done pretty well. I'm now an enterprise architect at Bose, the speaker company. So that's I've been there for 25ish years.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, so
That is cool. I'll have to say I didn't know any of that.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
Um, I love Bose, man.
yeah.
I mean, absolutely, it's one of my favorites. I mean, I'm not wearing a set now, but I do have
Nice.
several sets of the
Same here.
several sets of the noise canceling. When that first came out, man, man, that was the technology was absolutely amazing, and they just perfected it. And the
Yeah,
low
yeah,
end impedance on the headsets,
yeah.
oh my god,
Wait
so
till the
great.
next one.
Oh yeah, ooh, they got me excited. Yay! Well, maybe you can at least let us know you like new one's coming out. Take a look at this, that kind of thing. The heads up would be
Uh,
nice, and I'll know when to buy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, dude, thank you so much for that. That's awesome, man. I mean, that's like you said. That's if it's every country, every type of I guess what am I trying to say? Um, not religion, but every
Sort of
like
culture type thing, right?
culture.
Like,
That's
yeah,
the word I'm
yeah,
looking for. Wow, Dave's drawing a
yeah.
blank. I
It's the
guess it's
same
because
with
of
the
doing.
Chinese, right? They do like the tiger mom thing, right? It's just the
Yeah.
norm for those
Hmm.
coming from Asia. It's like, well, you're going to like do well in school, and you're gonna go to an Ivy League, and that's that. I don't want to hear anything else, right?
Right.
It's just the
Right.
way it
Right.
is, and
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, and plus, it's you give respect to your father, you know, for actually doing what he wanted. Like you said, even though
Yep,
it's a piece of paper saying from Harvard,
yep,
but yet to him, I'm sure he was incredibly proud of you.
yep,
So
yep,
that's awesome, and that's awesome,
yeah,
and
yeah,
nothing wrong with that, man.
yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Oh goodness. So I guess let's turn this into. You said you liked gaming or loved gaming. So how did you get started again? Like, what was your first maybe? Not necessarily exactly, but maybe your first console or for like or was it
So
PC? Was it arcade? What was? How'd you get started
at
again?
my age, I started way back when this thing started, right? So like in the 70s, we had like I think it was like around there, like 70s, 80s, when they had these little like Pac-Man and Tron in a little box. Remember those? I don't know
Oh
if you were
yes,
around for that. And
I'm old.
yeah, yeah. And so I think that was my first. I think it was Tron. I think that was my first. And then I played at other people's houses. I didn't actually get a console for a while.
Mhm.
but I want to say it was a Coleco that I tried first, and and then from there I took a 3-year hiatus. My parents decided to move back to India, no console, and then came back here, 86 ish. A Nintendo had come up, but I only remembered Atari, so I got
Mhm.
an Atari, and then maybe I want to say it was like 87, 88. I finally got a Nintendo, and man, how good was that?
Oh,
Going
man,
from
yes.
Atari to Nintendo, um, loved it. Um, and while that was happening, for some weird reason, my father, he's a design architect for buildings, and so he's made some hospitals and stuff like that in some
Mhm.
cities. He got in collaboration with some software people, software engineers, and opened a company that they never did anything with, but they bought a PC, and that PC was sitting in our living room, and I'm
Mm.
sitting there going, "You guys aren't using this. Can I use it?"
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
so I just kind of took it over and started playing. They gave me a few ideas of how to use DOS at the time, and then from there, I just kept going to magazines and stuff. I figured out bulletin boards, right? Got a modem and connected up and started reading and reading and reading and reading, and then started playing games. Like back then, there was the Sierra games, the LucasArts games.
Oh, yes.
Remember those? And then like whatchamacallit, the flight simulators, and there was
Mhm.
Stealth Fighter and Apache, right? You had all these games, and like Microprose, I think they were making some of these like air games, right? So you had the Apache one and whatnot.
Mhm.
So I started playing a bunch of those games, and then also on the console side had the Nintendo, and I kind of just stuck to Nintendo. Sega was coming along, and I didn't really have much interest in Sega. I did have a friend who had that later, but I never really played Sega for a while. And then when it came to sort of the next console I'd get, I got the Super Nintendo, and then also got the TurboGrafx 16,
Oh, yes.
and
Nice system.
and then from there, a friend of mine had the Genesis. I played that a bit. I never seemed to want to buy the Sega, but I would stick to Nintendo.
Mhm.
And so I got the 64. I didn't see any of the other ones. I didn't bother with the Neo Geo or the variations of Sega that came along until they
Right.
finally caved.
Yep.
The next one I really like, so PlayStation came along, and I'm like, I don't know if I really care to go into PlayStation. This seems kind of weird to me. Even though as a Sony fan, I love their TVs. I love
Mhm.
Sony TVs. I've probably spent over 50 grand on TVs and audio devices from that. I've spent a lot
Sure.
of money. So I love their TVs. I love their audio systems. And then of course I went to Bose, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll keep getting Bose stuff. Or I get a discount. Why don't I just get Bose stuff, right?
Yeah.
So but I still I would get their TVs up until recently, because they just don't want to make a good gaming TV, which sucks. But
Right. Agree
so
with that.
yeah, it's disappointing, because I wanted to get a new one when the Series S and Series X came out, and I'm like, okay, I'll look for the Sony one, and no, they don't have all the features, and we might have the no, I want the features today. I'm not going to wait for you to give me firmware, because I don't know what that means if it ever comes.
Right.
So I'm like, screw that. So I ended up getting the LG, which is great. It's been great, but
Mhm.
I'd like to get a Sony, but hopefully they get to the point where everything's good. But anyway, so I then Microsoft started announcing their Xbox thing, and it's funny, like their documentary that had like the 20-year documentary. They're like,
Mhm.
why is Microsoft getting into that? Literally was me. Like, why are you even bothering
Yeah.
with this? What are you talking about? Go make Windows. What are you doing? Right. So I had zero interest, hadn't even heard of the game Halo, had no idea what was going on there. I'm like, I totally ignored it. But I got to the point in my career where it was like I had enough disposable income, because I did the college by them paying for it. So I paid
Mhm.
off my loans like immediately. And so now it's like my money's mine. I do whatever
Nice.
I want. And so every weekend I'd just go into town and like after work and see what movies or games came out. Right. And that weekend of the release of the Xbox, I happened to go into Circuit City, and they had an Xbox just sitting on the shelf. And I'm like, huh, okay, what the heck? I'll just buy it. And then I added a controller, and I think Project Gotham Racing and Condemned, and they had stacks of this Halo, stacks of it. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it looks like they want me to play this game. I looked at the cover, and I'm like, this is going to be a crap game that I'm going to throw away in 10 minutes. Like literally how I went into it. I threw it like, fine, I'll just buy it. And I like to get the crap out of the way. So the first thing I do after I hook it up is play Halo. And I'm like, okay, wait, this is not. Wait, the inversion. God damn it! Wait, oh, well, they let me change the inversion. Cool. Okay, this is good. This is like flowing. I can
Yep.
actually play it. This is kind of cool with the 2 sticks. This is pretty good. I land down at the Halo ring, and I'm like, dude, this is so awesome. I hit pause. I call up my buddy and say, dude, I got an Xbox. There's this game Halo. You need to come over now. We need to play this game. And that was Friday night. We didn't
Yeah.
stop playing till Sunday morning.
Holy
We didn't
shnikes.
sleep till Sunday morning, and we're like, dude, we got to go to work. What the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Calling in dead.
it changed so much, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of like the big one. The other big ones that I think that are kind of cool was Street Fighter.
Hmm.
I didn't do much in arcades, but when Street Fighter came out, like we every day after school we went to Street Fighter, to the arcades to play Street Fighter 2.
Yes. Me
That
too.
was a crazy game, and loved it when it came to the SNES. Right, the
Hmm.
first game I
Yeah.
bought, you got Street Fighter. Oh yeah, so yeah, played that.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. When
But
it
yeah,
came to the Homer system, it was like, because it was pretty close to,
yeah, it was
right
good
there with
enough. It
it.
was close enough,
Good
right?
enough.
And so we were just
Exactly.
loving it. It was so good, and so we just kept playing that. But yeah, so that's how I got into Xbox. And once we got hooked to Halo, all my friends were all just converted to. We had to have this. It was just so good.
Yeah.
And then they kept making it better with the online, right? Halo 2 and all the online. So, oh God, it
Mm.
was great. We had so many LAN parties where we just hook up four
Same. Yep.
four consoles with projectors and keep playing. Right, it was awesome. It's so much fun.
Yes.
Um,
Yep. I'm right there with
yeah,
you, man. That's reliving the dream through you right now because
right.
it was so
Uh,
great.
my PlayStation, I guess, gaming was more in the PS2 era. At the end of the PS2 era, I'm like, okay, there's enough like exclusives that I want to play that I'll just buy the system. And it was uber cheap at that point. I'm like, fine, I'll just go buy a PS2, get like all the games I want that are also like all old now, so they're cheap.
Right.
So I got like 10 games or something like that. Just went through those. I'm like, okay, this is okay. I've never found like I find their controller so annoying that I cannot seem to like the console, which is
Mhm.
unfair to them because I mean my hands start aching and that like at that point you just want the game to be over. And I think that's
Right.
been my problem with Sony is that like I'm not giving them a fair shot because I like some of the games, but
Yeah.
I'm like always in this like I'm annoyed and I want it to just be done. And I don't think that's a fair thing. I have to have some pretty world class games. But I do at least try, right? So
Mhm.
same thing with the PS3. I've tried that near the end of that gen, and I got all the exclusives there. PS4, I got that a couple of years later. I think it was 1 year later. On there was a nice trade-in deal. Like, cool, I'll go get it. PS5, I pre-ordered immediately, and now I just sold it because I played Ratchet and Clank,
Yeah, I heard
and
about
after
that.
10 minutes of my hands aching, I'm like, I'm just done. It's like I'm up to an age now where I'm like, I need my hands, and I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they've promised, at least Jim up to now has promised, Jim Ryan, that they're going to be multi-plat, so their games will come to PC. I will just play it there with my Xbox controller.
Yep.
That has been my like thing because if it was only on the PlayStation, fine, I'll muddle through it. But like
Right.
if they're going to come to PC and I don't have to hurt my hands, I'll just do that.
I'm with
So
you.
that's kind of been my journey. I like the Xbox, especially the ecosystem and controller. Pretty, that's pretty comfortable for me. And I still love my Nintendo. I always buy the Nintendo consoles.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but man, that Mario and Zelda, those franchises have been running for decades and decades, and they still come out with world-class quality, right? Those games are always like 90 metas. They're ridiculously good.
Yeah. They're
I don't know how they do it,
awesome.
but they do it, and and I still love them. So still waiting for Breath of the Wild 2, and I don't know when the
Same.
next mainline Mario comes out. They both came the same year in
Mhm.
2017. I'm waiting for both of those. But yeah, like so Nintendo, I always get that, and Xbox is my main platform. So that's kind of my journey.
Yeah.
PC, I kind of fell off. The adventure games, I loved those on PC, right? The Sierra
Mhm.
Onlines and all those, and they sort of changed, and I'm like, okay, and then it sort of meandered to just console, especially with the Xbox and the dual sticks. So
Right.
I kind of switched over, and now I have a PC that plays games, but I rarely do. So, but
Right.
now it'll be Sony games. I'll be playing those on
Yeah.
PC.
And
So
you play those like you said
with an
with
Xbox
an
controller.
Xbox controller. That's what I do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool,
So
man.
it's kind of my overall journey.
Yeah, well, and that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, man. That's it's I mean, I don't you don't have to say your age. That's not what I'm getting at, but like I just turned 57.
Wow,
Yeah,
you got
and
10 years on me.
So, so well, there you go. See, so I'm the old guy in the room a lot of times. And when I have the Atari hat, that's because, that was my first console that I had at the house when we bought it day one.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
dad's
yeah.
like, let's go get this thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and then he never played it, but he let me, play it. And I, of course, burned it up, and you know, rest is history kind of thing. But yeah, so I did have systems like the Neo Geo and stuff because I was like home arcade at home. Those cartridges were like $200 a piece and
I
huge, man,
know, it
like
was
a
nuts.
brick.
It looked
But
awesome though, but I'm like,
yeah, it
"Okay,
was.
no."
Oh no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I didn't buy one new on that console. I got one used several
Yeah,
years
yeah, yeah.
later when this new thing came out called eBay. So
Yes.
that's how I that's how I got mine. But yeah, man, love gaming, love gaming, and it definitely shows that you're passionate for gaming,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then of course you've turned your, I guess, your love for gaming, and I guess easiest way to talk about it would be like you gotten into the community
Yeah, yeah.
of with YouTube and things like that.
Yep.
So how did that start? What was your first? What made you want to get into it first of all, and then where did where was your journey to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I used to watch these videos all the time, right? So,
Hmm.
I've always been interested in gaming. So I'd watch a video from a dealer or a cult, and many, many others, right?
Hmm.
And then eventually I found out, hey, they have live streams. So let's go to the live stream and I can actually chat and what the heck, right? And then there were super chats and I'm like, okay, cool, let's just super chat and
Hmm.
throw in my opinions and so that was pretty cool. And then eventually I think it was Colt. Yeah, it was Colt. We got to the point of, hey, why don't you add me as a friend and we could just chat, right? We could just game chat online with
Hmm.
Xbox Live. And then we did that, and then it just kind of grew from there. It just kind of spiraled up from there, and so
Hmm.
and now this is where I am, right? So Gaz and Asa, I'm now part of that team, and then been on a lot of different podcasts. Um, yeah, 'cause I've been trying to meet with people as well. So I've met with the ILP crew when they came up to Boston, which is where I am, and met with Colt out in our whatever E3 conference you want to call it, the June showcase for
Yeah, yeah.
Microsoft. We
I
both
think I
went out to
saw that
LA.
picture of you and him together,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
was
yeah,
really cool.
yeah, yeah.
So
So yeah, so it's been during a pandemic, so it's been kind of hard to actually catch up with people, but
sure,
hopefully
sure.
now it'll get more open and we can actually catch up.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, yeah.
So you started, I guess, you said like you and Colt kind of reached out to you and you guys became friends and talking, like I guess when playing games and stuff together. And then he just kind of like asked you to be a guest on his show at one time, or
That did happen. Yeah, I was
okay.
on with was it Skullsy? I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
There's a YouTuber that kind of follows more Bethesda stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and this was after a leak of some Starfield info, and so he came on along with me, and we kind of went through what was going on with that, and did it make sense, and was it bunk or was it real? So yeah, it was a good episode, I think. So yeah, that was my first on Colts. I don't think I've been on his after that. And then I think that actually happened after Gaz, right? So Gaz was supposed to have somebody on Game on Daily Go Live,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Fonz. Fonz had forgotten about it and was
Oh,
shopping or something.
I
I'm
think I
like, "Hey,
remember
dude,
that
if you need somebody
episode.
on, let me know. I can certainly come on, bud." And so yeah, I just showed up on Go Live, and it worked out pretty well. And then Gaz is like, "Yo, you need to just be part of our thing." It's like, fine, fair enough. And so here I
Well,
am.
you work with them very well. I think it's a
Yeah,
really good mix. Last week's episode was the latest episode, I should say, was absolutely on fire. And
yeah,
I mean, it's sometimes it's hard to describe to people that it's like when you're listening to someone who talks about the industry and talks about gaming, and it's fun for us,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
obviously, to game, but when you get into the nuances about maybe like the behind the scenes stuff and this kind of thing, but and you bring like I said, this is not trying to blow smoke, but I mean you bring a passion and a good angle to it, and it's not necessarily different, but there's times when you have
yeah, yeah.
an opposing opinion
Yep.
to it, or at least if not necessarily not that you're confrontational because you're not, but you'll be like, what about look at it from this angle,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
now tell me what you think. And I love that. I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
do. I think you bring a whole lot to the table.
Well,
And
thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really glad that you're in the community, and I'm really glad that you're on the show today because, like I said, the more people that find out about you, I think it's better for all of us.
Yeah, good,
So,
good. Yeah, it's been my career too. I generally try to think outside the box and
mhm,
come up with different answers to things and see if something else could resolve something or whatever, right?
mhm.
But yeah, sometimes you just have to go with whatever's good, the obvious answer. But sometimes it's like, hey, why don't we try something weird and let's see what happens? It's kind
Yeah,
of my thing
yeah.
anyway.
Well,
So
that's well, it's worked out really good for you. Because I don't you never come at it from a, let's automatically take the opposite opinion. Let's automatically,
yep,
take it's, it's either it's what's in your heart, it's what's in your head, and
yep,
that's the way to do it, man. That is definitely the
yep,
way to be honest with the
yep.
people you're talking to, you know. And like I said, there's been times when you've brought up different subjects or points that I'm like, huh, I didn't think, I didn't,
Yeah, yeah,
okay. All right. I can see that now that that before it was like, "Ah, it's not heard of or it's crazy, and then it's like, oh, that's what he means. Okay.
yeah,
But I mean, seriously. And that's, and
yeah, yeah.
that's, and that's a good thing.
Yep,
To
yeah,
me, that's great. And like I said, you're awesome in the community. And then I noticed that you made a special, several appearances, on RDX,
yep,
because RDX, I guess Fonz was down for a little bit because he had some moves, and then several of the guys over the time has gotten COVID,
yep,
including him. So and then he's had this newest thing for RDX was that he's put up, I guess, like a bullpen type thing
yep, yeah,
on their Discord, and he's put you in there, and he's gone to the bullpen a couple times,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And there's those guys, Zucker and Fonz and them, they've been doing this for a long time, and you hold your own, and I like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's fun. They're really, really good. I love the energy, right?
Mhm.
They definitely make it entertaining, which is great. Yeah, and like if I can help them out, why not? Right. So and that's because
Right.
like we chat all the time, right? So I
Yeah.
was just in a chat with Dealer and Gaz. So we chat all the time. I talk to Zocker pretty much daily.
Nice.
So we're talking all the time. And yeah, it was just like, hey, if you need help, whatever, I'm here. Right. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And that's great. Your attitude like that is awesome. And then, like I said, you were gracious enough to, I sent you a message, and you're like, okay. You want to
sure.
talk to me? Well, let's work it out. And so I was like,
Yeah.
sweet. Because I don't always get that response.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I get people that, take the, like, what does he want to talk to me about? Or I don't really want to talk to this
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and that's cool. I mean,
Yep. Yeah.
life is what it is,
Yep.
so, well, I know that, like, when I first started, I reached out to a lot of people, and, you shoot for the stars, as it were, kind of thing. And I'm
Yep.
not throwing this person under the bus at all, but she has a PR team. It's Alana Pierce.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it'd be a good interview to find out more about her because she's talked about a lot of things that she's
Yep.
done. But, like, that's why I thought, well, she'd be a good interview. And I still think she'll be a good interview someday. But I was very politely, told, well, but this is by her team that manages her time, that, at this time, meaning you're not really high up in followers, that, that would be beneficial for her to be on your
Yeah.
show. And I understand it. Totally
Yeah.
get it,
Yeah.
So, and then I get somebody on, I reach out to Dealer, who to me, he's a rock star. And oh my god, and his show, the episode that we did with him is like the first, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, it's like a good conversation like we had. And then all of a sudden he just, he goes, "But, if you're listening to me, I'm just a fuck face." And that's what he says. And it's like the rest of the conversation from then on was just hysterical.
Yes.
It's still like my most watched episode. But
Yeah. He is good. He is so funny. He is
exactly,
like that immediate
exactly.
wit, right? It's so good.
Exactly, and that's what I want. I want people to, to be real and to talk as comfortably as they want to be.
Yep.
Colt's a little more conservative as far as, because he likes to make things more
Yeah, he does.
family
Yeah.
friendly. So I keep it that way. I
Yeah.
have no
Yeah.
problem with it. You don't have to cuss if you don't want to. You don't, but
Yep.
don't
Yep.
feel like you can't be yourself. That's kind of the way I look at it. So let's kind of turn this to some of the, I guess, the gaming industry, like currently, like, obviously the time of this recording, we're still in the midst of the ABK deal. we're
Yep.
still in the midst of this uh, Sony price hike, and there's the most
Yeah.
recent thing is the packaging mishaps, that kind of stuff. And not this is not a get down on Sony type thing, but it's like it seems like they take one step forward, two steps back
Yeah.
this generation so far, but yet they have some loyal fans that are
Yep.
defending them for the dumbest crap. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
What
I'd
do you
say the
think?
same for Xbox, right? In the Xbox
True.
One gen, there were plenty of reasons to say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Right? And
Yep.
there were loyal fans saying, "No, no, no, like they're still doing good stuff," and right, and they got piled on. Xbox
Yep.
certainly got piled on. They deserved a lot of it.
Mhm.
And then you have the equivalent now with Sony, who's starting to falter. They're still in the lead. They're still
Oh, yeah.
leading the market. But besides Nintendo, let's be fair, Nintendo just does the Nintendo thing and they keep going. They're awesome.
Yep, they
But
are.
they're still, doing pretty well, Sony, and but yeah, their fans are just trying to like say every little thing they do, it's fine. It's like, well, maybe you should criticize a few things that they're doing that they're not very consumer friendly. Like it's okay
Exactly.
to tell them that you don't like this, um, but apparently that's tough for them to do. And I think it's more this tribalism thing, right? It's just like sports teams. Hey, for me, like Red Sox versus Yankees, right?
Mhm.
Does that mean the Yankees are evil? No, but like we just play that way because we want to think that that's why we lose, right? Uh, but
Right.
it is what it is, and like so I get the mindset, but you need to like pull yourself out. It's fun to have fun, right? If you're just doing this in jovial manner, it's fine. But if you
Mhm.
get so engrossed that you're yelling, like the podcast episode they had with King Thrash and Jaffe, I can't even
Mhm.
fathom how that happened. This is like a legend in Sony land, right?
Yeah.
And you're cursing and berating the guy on your podcast. Like I can't even imagine how that happens, right?
Yeah, and it's
It's
just
one thing
because
to
he's
go into somebody to say, but
yeah,
I think you should consider these things. It's another to just like rant and destroy the guy. I can't even imagine how that happened, right? And that
yeah,
to me sounds like somebody is insecure and very unhappy with where they are. And this is just an analysis for me, but and who
right,
the heck am I? But that just isn't something I would expect. Like if
right,
Phil Spencer ever came on somebody's podcast and that ever happened, I can't imagine that ever happening, right?
right.
But it's just nuts that people would do that, right? We had him on in Game on Daily, and we did go into some topics, but it was all just like nice and back and forth and good,
Right.
like yeah, it's cool that you believe this, I believe that. That's fair, right? But
Yeah, yeah, and
man,
when you guys had Phil on, which was an absolutely great episode, by the way, even to this day, you can go back and watch it in its entirety and get something out of it. It stands the test of time. It's great because, like you said, he is kind of the kind of person that like will explain his position and kind of explain, not necessarily, I'm not saying dumb it down by any means, but I mean he makes it to where it's like, well, this is why we do this to this point, or we have to be open to these other things,
yeah,
and man, he is the like that documentary said, if it wasn't for Phil, there probably wouldn't be an Xbox
no, that's
today,
fair. That's fair, or at least in the format it's in.
right,
That's very fair.
right, could be an Apple
That
Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, they were in an existential threat. That was absolutely the case, and
Yep.
Phil pulled it out with, here's the vision that could make it make sense for Microsoft,
Hmm.
and he's doing it, and it's good, and you can see that the industry is doing exactly what he expected,
Hmm.
and then Sony's catching up to that as well. At some point, Nintendo will too.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it is, he was right. A lot of those things need to happen. That's where the world's shifting, and he just saw it and said, "Hey, let's take advantage of that." And that is a Microsoft advantage if we can take advantage of those things. So why not,
definitely.
right? So good for him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think about the acquisition? I guess your personal take on, I think, and I'll just throw this out there first, that the deal is there's nothing that can stop it because there's no real argument to
Yeah.
make it stop.
Yep.
And that I think that it's actually going to be done before this calendar year is up. I think so.
That I would be very reticent to say it'll happen this year.
Sure,
Now,
sure.
If we were in the former FTC where it was kind of balanced,
Hmm.
I'd say sure. Right now, the FTC is trying to showcase that they have authority, right?
Hmm.
And they're kind of being a little activist,
Hmm.
which is fine, I guess. Whatever, that's their role. And this is a big, big acquisition.
Oh yes.
We can't overlook the fact this is a big. It's the biggest in the history of Microsoft. It's the
Right.
biggest in the history of gaming. And this is a big deal, right? So
Hmm.
you have to look at that and say they're going to spend the time, right? And this is kind of so originally I was thinking, okay, if there were no pushbacks, fair, it could potentially happen this year, October, November, maybe they finalize it.
Hmm.
But we're already seeing pushback, and the second we got the CMA pushback, that puts it out. They have like I think it was just shy of a half a year once they say they're in phase two, right? So
Right, but to be fair, what they've said is that they've given Microsoft another 5 days to
which ends
answer
this
these
week.
20 plus questions, and
Yeah, yeah.
if they don't feel that those
The
questions
need
were
to
answered
go
enough,
on, but
then
the
it can actually
chances are it
technically go
will.
into phase 2. But right now,
Yeah.
it's technically not yet.
Yeah, exactly. It's possible, but I
Mhm,
think it's not going to be likely. Why? Because there's enough of a grounds there
mhm,
that they won't just take Microsoft's word for it.
right,
So Microsoft could say, "Hey, no, we think this. That's great." They want an independent review, right? It's too big, and that's exactly the problem, right? So,
right.
like that first phase, they compile what they can. They try to understand the market as well as they can, but it's not
Mhm,
in depth, right? And that's why they want an independent review, and that's what phase two is. Everybody else, to be fair, has done it, right? EU did a
mhm,
phase two. FTC is already in phase two. I
mhm,
can't imagine why the UK wouldn't go there. So, because they're going to want that like full analysis. Okay, what does this really mean? Is this going
mhm,
to cause problems, right? It is kind of weird that we're talking about IP being an issue, right? Because normally, like if I look at Disney buying Lucas, you
mm,
could take
mhm,
Star Wars at the time. Star Wars was the franchise, right? If you're in movies, it's the franchise, right? It is
mhm,
by far the most ridiculously overpowering franchise of everything else. Marvel has taken over in a bit, to me, at least. But and Lord of the Rings
mhm,
actually came up, as well. But
sure.
at, Star Wars has been Star Wars, right?
Yep.
And no issues. It just went through, right? And there's no like, hey, 20th Century Fox has been publishing those movies. Are you going to put in an agreement that allows them to continue to do? No, it didn't matter. You just bought it. You bought it. It's yours. You do whatever you want with it. And that's been
Mhm,
the norm with IP. And now we're in this weird area where they're saying, no, the IP matters. No, it doesn't. Microsoft could buy it and turn it off. It's theirs. They can do whatever they want with it,
right.
right? And but this part kind of is weird to me, right? So, but we'll see what happens, right? Ultimately, I think like you, it will happen. It's a question of how far it'll go, and will the FTC try to make it into a model of, hey, we won't allow these kind of things, or they say, okay, we will with these stipulations, and I don't know when that ends. And the CMA thing, I think that pushes it to next year just because they're going to go to phase two. That's my opinion. I think they're going to go
No,
to
no,
phase
and
two.
that's why we ask. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I'm right by any means. I don't know why. I just have this gut feeling,
Yeah.
and maybe it's
I mean, if
wishful
they could pull it
thinking.
off, that'd be awesome, right? If like
Yeah.
Microsoft says, "Hey, by the way, we went and talked to every other publisher as well. Here's all their stuff. We then talked to all the retailers. Here's all their stuff,
Mhm.
right?" And but I mean, again, they would have to take their word for it, right? So
Right.
that's the kind of thing, right? So I think they're going to do it. They're going to go to phase two, and it'll probably be if it comes in, it'll come in mid next year, so maybe like April, May. If it gets more challenges, we're talking years out, and then I don't know how that plays out, but we'll get there, I guess.
Right.
Um,
But
so
if it comes up with more challenges, at some point Microsoft can be like, "This we've given you everything you need to know. I think we're going to take you to court." And if that happens,
yeah,
I mean,
but then it
to
becomes years, and that's the
it
problem, right?
could
Because
be,
it goes to
or
court.
there was what was a recent case with MGM where they like as soon as they threatened to take them to court over, they were like, well, okay, we're going to sue you. Like
Yeah,
a week later, they were like, we can't really afford that. We'll let it pass.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, I don't think that would be that lucky with this
yeah,
particular
and
thing, but
it's the headache, right? So, but
yes,
yeah, so we'll see how it goes, right? But I'd be very reticent to say that it would happen this year,
yeah,
because the CMA thing is going to go to phase two. It looks like that's going to happen, and therefore
right.
it's going to be next year.
Sure, sure,
So
sure. There's another a point that somebody had brought up on I can't remember what show it was, but they had said that most likely it may have even been you, I'm not sure, that like Sony wouldn't necessarily want them to litigate it. In other words, to get like to bring a lawsuit, because then that would bring out a lot of dirty laundry for
I
Sony
think it
that
was
we've
Kiss
already
Hunter
starting to
said that
find
one.
out
Yeah,
about.
right. And there's fairness to that too. But let's be fair, there's dirty laundry from Microsoft as
Oh
well,
yes,
right? So
yeah, and as they
this
have a bad past that they've
they do, they
corrected,
do. The
but the
360 gen,
bad
they were
past was
playing this
bad.
kind of role,
Hmm.
and so they got humbled with the Xbox One, which I think ended up being a good thing. You need to be
Yes,
humbled, and hopefully they learn that lesson continuously. It probably is not going to happen. I'm sure a gen from now they're going to be assholes. It just seems to happen because look at where Sony is, right? They got humbled with the PS3. They learned.
yep,
They came back with the PS4 and did everything that they could to make it right. And then with the PS5, it seems like they just keep stumbling,
lost
right?
their damn mind. I'm
and,
just
and
kidding.
but it's just the way it is,
Yeah.
right? And you have to like
Hmm.
keep that in your head that this could change at any time.
Yep.
If we don't meet the customer's demands, we will get humbled again. And that seems, hopefully that's a lesson they've learned. I think Phil knows it, right? And as long as
Yeah.
Phil's running it, I think he's going to keep doing that. But that could change at any time. We don't know when Phil will move on, so we don't know who comes in afterwards and what they do, right? So
Right.
it was the same
Exactly.
with the Xbox One, the Xbox original going to the 360. All those leaders were like gamers, and they knew the market, and they're like, I want to do everything for the gamer. And then it switched to more of a corporate-y thing, and
Hmm.
that's when things started to change. And then which was had to be fair, Don Matrick was a gamer too, but
Hmm.
the corporate message changed to we want to do the movies and TV thing,
Yeah.
so they pulled
TV,
the
TV,
funding.
TV.
Right. Yeah. And they pulled the funding from gaming and put it in
Yeah.
that. What they
Yep.
should have done is, okay, fine, we'll stand that up separately and keep the gaming thing going because you got to keep it going.
Yes.
And that was unfortunately what really caused a demise. Plus, having the hardware come out with lower power than their competitor, that was a massive fail.
Oh,
so,
definitely. And the
so
requirement of the Connect,
yeah, the
not
way
a
they
good.
should have done that is, instead of like Sony did this time, they have an all digital console, but it's
Hmm.
virtually impossible to get it, right?
Yep.
So you could say, "Yep, there is a $400 console. Good luck buying one. You're going to spend
Right.
$500, right?" And they
Yeah.
could have done the same thing. Say, "Hey, we have a $400 console, no Connect, but we make 5% of those. We make 95% of the other one,
Right.
right?"
Exactly.
And,
But they
and
make them.
but they're there. If you want it,
Yeah.
you can buy it. Sure,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Scalpers got plenty
You
of
know,
them. I'm just kidding. But yeah. And
but
then but and I guess you could also say like some people are talking about the the current price hike. Excuse me. That like the demand or the availability of the $500 system in the US and the $400 digital one are extremely hard to find, but yet you can find the $550 bundle even
yep,
on Sony's website right now in
yeah,
stock and
yeah.
shipped to you in 2 days.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy
So,
that they've done that sort of surreptitious price hike.
uh-huh.
It helps them in both ways, right? It gives
Right.
them that number. Hey, we sold this many Horizon Forbidden Wests,
Exactly.
and then also like they're getting a price hike, right? Because what does it cost them to put in a digital code? 50 cents to put the paper in there, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Otherwise, well, what does it really mean, right? So, and then this way they're getting their money for the console, plus they get some money for the game. It's a win-win, right? So,
Yeah, amen
um,
to that. Yeah, I agree with you. Well, like
yeah,
that was the biggest one of the biggest selling games for Nintendo
yeah,
was Wii Sports
yep.
because it was the pack-in.
Yep. It was just
It's
there.
smartest.
The vast majority of those consoles sold with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
it's
crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I worked at GameStop, which I did for like 12 years, they we have people come in, like retirement homes that would buy the consoles with that on it because they
Yeah.
wanted to get their senior citizens exercising by doing it,
Yeah.
and they did. They loved them. And there's some places that still have those in stock and use
Yeah.
those in their, in as part of their recreation,
Yeah. Yeah.
in those centers. So that's, smart.
Yep. Good old Nintendo, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's one thing I love about this industry is that it's, gaming is for everybody,
hmm
really. I mean, all right, I use example even just the other day. I'll make it quick, but like my wife loves like Donkey Kong and side scrolling. That was her favorite. The Super NES version, just loved it. Burned it. She was really good at it too. And then I got the 64 and the 3D. Not even a minute after playing the 3D and turning the camera around, she's like, "Oh, I can't be in the room." She had to leave the room. It just made her
Yeah.
nauseous and sick, and she does not play. the current stuff that's 3D at all.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
but she still burns up. And I tell her, it's like she has a free to play game on her phone, okay, that she loves, okay, and she has spent over $200 to date on that game that's free to play.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's a
Hmm.
model. It works, right?
Yeah,
They make
that's
money. It
killing
is what
me.
it is, right? So not for
Yeah.
all of them, to be fair, right? But for the
Right.
ones where it does hit, it hits.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
ABK, that king, that's a big deal.
It is.
It's
It
a big
is. I
deal.
mean, Candy Crush is still to this day is huge moneymaker.
Printing money, printing
Yeah,
money.
yeah. And if you could, like, well, I guess they're talking about the League of Legends. It's too recent. It's going to, I guess, in October, I believe, going to be coming into.
Is it October? That was early next year. But yeah, whenever
Oh,
they put
and
that
could
in,
be,
that is going
could
to be a
be.
big deal. Like I was
Yeah,
in that June showcase, with Phil and all those guys, and the room was silent. I was the only one when that announcement came. I was like, whoa. Like literally the only person who said that, because I understand what that means. 150, 180 million users a month play that game.
yeah.
That
And
is
then
an
and to have like six
insane.
hundred dollars worth of content,
I think it's
it's
higher than that.
included. Well,
It's
it's
higher than
still,
that.
but
It's like 1,800 or something
oh my
ridiculous, right?
gosh, oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's a lot
Uh,
that you just get for $10. Because remember, this is only
yeah,
PC Game Pass. They don't need to get the ultimate.
right, right.
They just
Or
need PC Game
$25
Pass.
family plan.
Yeah, if they want to do exactly right. So
Uh,
$25 family plan, share it with all your friends.
yeah.
It's crazy, like the amount they're going to get out of that. But yeah, I hope that'll give them a huge lift, right, of subscribers, because
Hmm.
like outside of this community, which is Xbox focused, console focused,
Right.
right, you can hear from other people that are like, they're doing what? Oh, that sounds really good. Like holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. That is a big get.
Yeah. So are you somebody that would do or participate in the family plan? I mean, yeah, I don't know your situation, or like friends and family as they're calling it, which is really smart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably. So within the house, every TV has an Xbox. So we have
Nice.
5 of them. And the reason I did that was like when they did the Xbox One generation, that was when we were sort of getting into the streaming world, right? So and then they had the cable goes through a thing. And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Oh yeah, cool." Because I don't want every interface, because my parents will get confused, right? So if you go to this TV, it's this other interface. Your TV, it's this interface. I'm like, "You know what? We'll
Hmm.
solidify everything to one interface. Everybody will have the same thing. You'll know how to use it.
Hmm.
We'll get the remotes for the Xboxes, and that'll be the thing." So we had our cable going through it, and then eventually the cable just went away because nobody was watching that. We could get it streaming,
Right.
so we switched to streaming, and so all of our apps, everybody's just using the Xbox to get all the apps, right, the standard ones.
Hmm.
And then the other cool thing with that was if any family came over or anything like that, guests came over and they had kids, any TV here, just sit down, play some games. There you go, right?
Yeah.
Because there's an Xbox sitting right there, which is pretty cool, right? So I keep some games on physical, like Lego games, stuff like that. Just
Nice.
plop it in, have
Sure.
fun, right? So that's where this would become kind of cool, right? Because I have an account I use for some of the shared ones, a media account, and I would
Hmm.
just be able to license it, and that way that box now suddenly has everything.
Yeah.
And then like my sister's in the house, and my mom's TV, right? So we just give them all full access, and that way anybody who comes over, they just play whatever's on Game Pass, right? Instead of having to even
Yeah.
bother with having physical discs. So yeah, that. And I have a buddy who's kind of disabled. He has massive severe migraine, so he doesn't work, and
Hmm.
so I keep trying to help him out. So I kind of usually just give him codes for Game Pass to keep
Very
going.
nice.
So that I'll just add him to that plan, right? And that way he can just have it and not worry about it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Good on you, man. Good on you. But like for here at this household, like to me, I'm gonna be the one that pays for it. I don't
Yeah,
care,
obviously, right? Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like, $25 a month, and then I'll have my account on there. My daughter, who has an Xbox, old, Xbox One or whatever, but now she was like so excited, for sort of Starfield and all this, and she's just like, but I don't own an Xbox. I'm like, haha, let me get this family plan, put you on it. You can play it on your PC, your tablet, whatever, and you'll be able to play all of that. She's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm in. So, and my son and his partner will get them both on there. And then my wife, it's like, especially with all this mobile stuff coming, be like, hey,
Yep.
find one of these free games to play your brains on and save me that $200 every 2 months that you keep spending on this other game. Hi, honey. She's in the other room shaking her
Yeah,
head.
right.
But yeah, but
Yeah, yeah,
to me, it's a win-win. Plus,
yeah,
you go from, or at least in my situation, my gamer tag, my account is one, and then I'm gonna add, because none of the others have it, four more. So there's gonna be from one to five players on that base that are
yep,
gonna bring those numbers up.
yep, yep. Yeah, I hope they push this everywhere soon.
Hmm.
It's an interesting, I guess point in their journey along
Hmm.
with Sony. Sony just increased their prices worldwide except the US,
Yeah.
and Microsoft hasn't. And if they could pull off, and I don't know if they can or can't, saying, you know what, we're going to cut back on Series X's, make as many Series S's as we can, and sell those suckers for $200 to the majority of the planet, and bundle in 3 months of this family plan,
Hmm.
right? And get more people hooked, right? Because then they'll just share it with their friends and say, hey, why don't you check this stuff out? This is great. That's
Yep.
that many more sales that are coming up for them, right? And, yes, I know the Series X people, like, in our country are going to be happy to go buy 4K TVs and do that. A majority of the world doesn't have that. They don't need
Correct.
it. A Series S is more than enough for them, right? And if they can pull that at 200, sub 200, oh, come on. The price point of entry is so good, versus where they are with PS5. You have to pay more, right?
Hmm.
Like, hey, look at that. It's double the price or more. You can get this, get Game Pass. You're good to go. You can play all these games, right?
Hmm.
Everything's just there. Have fun, right? And if they can pull that off and beat Sony in sales across most of like Europe and Africa and Asia,
Hmm.
dude, that is a huge thing that if they could ever pull it off. I don't know if they can or can't, but it certainly seems like they could pull 2 to 3 Series S's for every X, right? So
Hmm.
why not do it? Like, just
Right.
pull back on and then I would say don't even bother with the US market. Maybe sell a couple 100,000, like, seriously, because it doesn't matter. In this
Right.
market, they've always been neck and neck anyway. It'll
Hmm.
equalize over time anyway, so I wouldn't even bother. I would set those units up for everywhere else. Get them in Japan, right? Talk about going to the Japanese, what is that, Tokyo
Tokyo
Game
Game
Show,
Show. Hmm.
right? And like, if they can pull out some nice announcements, hey, we've got, like they said, 200 partnerships, right? 200
Yeah.
Japanese publishers or
Exactly.
developers they're working with. Show some games, like come up with 3 or 4 or 5 big games, like that, that are going to be interesting in the Japanese market. They've already got Wolong coming to Game Pass.
Hmm.
You've got Kojima doing something with them. Show it. Show that market, hey, we're committed to you,
Hmm.
and then just dump Series S's in that market to see if they pick them up, right?
Oh yeah, I
And
agree
see
with
if
you.
it can like pick up over there. I think they have an opportunity if they want to do it. Like, people are pissed at Sony in Japan, right? They've
Sure.
really increased the price. I think they got the worst increase. It was like over 20% increase
Hmm.
over there. And like, you could just decrease it by a massive amount and say we're at that threshold where it's instant buy, a compulsion buy. You just go buy it and like go play
Agreed.
your games. We're here
Definitely.
for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's up to them to do it, right? I hope like Phil and team are doing that, like analyzing this and saying this is a massive gift. Let's do it. Let's really
Yeah.
push this holiday and make it happen. But we'll see what they do, right? It's up to them. It's
Right.
still pandemic time as far as the supply
Right.
chain, right? So it's still hard to make consoles. So we'll see if they can pull it off. But man, if they could, that Series S was such a brilliant idea. It
It
was
really
such a
was.
brilliant idea.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the X, and as soon as I did the all access
Yeah,
and love it. At the
yeah,
time when I did it, I didn't really. I mean, I knew what Game Pass was, but I didn't have it. Now I can't live without it.
yeah,
And I'm like, I gotta have this, and it was included in my price. And I put it to my wife this way: that, like, okay, I'm spending $500 to get my PlayStation 5. I'm gonna get the Xbox same, basically, like the next week or the week before. I'm
yeah,
gonna get that, but I'm gonna do it this way. I'm only paying, basically, with tax and everything, I'm paying $47 a month for 2 years, and then the console's mine, and the whole time I get all this other stuff. And she's like, "Okay, you can get them both. Win win."
yeah,
So once that's paid off in November, I was planning on maybe going back and getting a smaller one for having another Xbox in another room. You know,
yep,
so
yep,
and but and even if they don't do the $200, even if they can get it down $20 or $50 at Black
And it already
Friday.
is. It already is, right? You can get it for like
True.
260,
Yep.
250 sometimes. On their site, it's 290 right now. 290 right now.
Yeah.
Um, they could easily cut that back. And what I would love them to do is actually introduce a new SKU that has a terabyte, right? I don't know if that's something that
Oh,
they're
that'd be
planning,
nice
right? Because
too.
eventually they're going to. We know they are, right? They're going to
Right.
increase the disk space. So, but it'll be more expensive. How much more expensive? If it's like $50 delta, it might be worth it, right? And if they could
Right.
do like a 200 and 250, oh my God,
Or
they're going to sell
maybe
so many of those.
have it at the $300, the 299, but it be the one that has
The
has
terabyte,
the
yeah.
terabyte, and
Yeah,
then
they're like
for
interesting
two
times
hundred
if they can
dollars
pull it
for
off, you know?
500, 500 gigabyte one. That would be
Yeah.
there'd be people that would buy it
Yep.
and burn it up.
Yep.
And then something else too that when this ABK deal goes through, they've already said that
Those games are
all
coming to
right,
Game
boys,
Pass.
get ready because all those games are coming to
Yeah.
Game Pass. And can you imagine Call of Duty once it officially is able to be
Yeah.
on Game Pass, and you can say, "Oh, family plan, play with your buddies,
Yeah.
$25 a month, and you get the number one selling first person shooter in the world included."
Yeah. Well, it's more
Holy
than that,
crap!
right? They've aligned
Right.
themselves for every casual game. They've got EA,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you get your Maddens, your FIFAs, all right, your NHLs, all they're just there. They
Yep.
went and got MLB The Show. That's
Yes.
crazy. And they get cricket, which may not matter to the US, but it does matter everywhere
It
else,
matters to other
right?
people. That's right.
And then they've got Roblox. It's only on that platform,
Mm-hmm.
which again may not matter to some players, but it's massive for kids. It's a
Yep.
big get. And they're looking at the casual market and saying, we want you here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your other free to plays, they're all here. We got your Apex, your Fortnite, right? All that stuff's here, no problem, right? And we're going to give you, if you get Game Pass Ultimate, we're giving you perks. We'll give you Apex freebies. We'll give you Fortnite freebies, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to happen with Call of Duty. It's going to happen. It's
Oh
their
yeah.
thing. They're going to go crazy with that. They're going to give you freebies in Ultimate. You're going to, I don't know if they'll give you all the DLC, but they'll give you freebies every month that they want you subscribed, and you'll
Yep.
want those freebies, right? So it's crazy what they can pull off. So if they have the casual market, and I know players that are like, Call of Duty's it. That's all they play, right?
Right.
They might play a sport game here and there, but Call of Duty's it. That is a huge get, right? And then you have the ecosystem available to you. At any point, you might just say, hey, this kind of looks cool. I'll try this out, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why not? And you get all these options, and family plans and whatnot make it even more interesting. So if you had to buy 2 copies of COD before,
Right.
right? I mean, just the amount of savings, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Or to have your buddy over to play a LAN type party or in the same house, whatever. You had to have a
Right?
console, multiple TVs, multiple this and that, and now it's like, I'll I'll play on my tablet, or I'll play on my phone, or I'll play on my TV, my Samsung TV, and hopefully
Exactly.
eventually they're going to have a
Exactly.
streaming stick at some point.
Yeah,
You know,
it's nuts.
yeah,
It
it's
is a big change, and the marketing being Microsoft again, that's gonna,
mhm,
like, right there, that could win them the gen.
yeah,
But having it in Game Pass, my God, it is so cool.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm right there with you, man. I think we're both foaming at the mouth for
Well,
for what
the
good
thing I
stuff is
don't
coming to
want
us.
is like no competition, but
Right.
thankfully, like, even if Sony were to falter and not be as prominent,
Yeah.
Nintendo always is. And Nintendo's
Right.
next console, just because of where we are in gaming, as far as like how much more quality can you get, how much more graphic processing can you get,
Hmm.
right? You look at the Steam Deck, it's pretty good. It's
Love it.
pretty
Yep.
good at 2 T-flops. It's
Hmm.
pretty good, right? If they can get something similar to that on a Nintendo console, that becomes a very good place for AAAs to put their games,
Hmm.
right? And so now you got another competing platform that will sell just because of their IP, right?
Yeah.
Nintendo's IP alone just sells their console. It does right now. They're still winning, right? They're
Yes.
winning because their own IP is so compelling that it's gonna happen,
Yeah. And
right?
they
And
haven't had a
so
price drop on any of their consoles in over
exactly,
5
it's
years.
crazy. They don't need to, and their
Right.
games, they still sell for full price. You're like, Jesus, the game's like 6 years old. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's still full. Like, what?
Yeah.
Seriously? Like,
Exactly.
it's what they do. It's nuts. Who else has a game sell more than the console? Freaking Breath of the Wild sold more copies of the game than the console.
Yeah, that
on
is
the
true.
anticipation that they would get the console eventually. That's
And
crazy.
it
That
is.
is
It
crazy, and that tells you just how crazy Nintendo is, right?
Yep.
So, but thankfully they'll be there and they will continue to push the envelope, right? Because you don't want Microsoft to become complacent either, right?
Mm-mm.
Because if they just
Mm-mm.
win the gen, they win the market, then they don't have any reason to do anything, a
Right.
la IE6.
Mhm.
You don't want that to happen. So it's good to have somebody on their butt all the time. That's good. You want that. You want the constant competition. So I hope Sony can come up with good things to compete as well. But thankfully, there is Nintendo, and it looks like they could just stay with their stuff and continue to compete. If they can
Right.
come up with a good enough console that can bring all the AAAs, that is a good thing for the industry. So we'll see
Definitely.
how it goes. But I think there's so many more things coming that we just don't realize, right? That Steam
Right.
Deck gives you the option for a PC like console now, right? Because
Yes.
that is a console with
Mhm.
a specific OS that they've made that runs
Mhm.
all the Windows games, right? So you can just do that on a PC that's a console like device that can sell as a Steam OS device, right? That is a potential
Right.
that could happen now. And then you don't know if things change with cloud, but the TV itself has processing power. So
Yep.
if those can get to the point where they can do a lot of local processing for the stuff you need with low latency,
Mhm.
cloud the rest, like Sea of Thieves, where the water is running in the cloud, we don't care. It's running. Who cares? It's a background thing, right? And it looks
Yep.
good. But you don't need to have that running locally. So fine, you can do the same thing. Have your TV run the bloody game,
Mhm.
right? And then have the cloud supplement. There's so many options, and then we don't know what happens with VR and AR, right? There's a
Oh,
whole new
yeah.
market there, right?
Yeah.
That's coming. We don't know where that goes. VR may not take off. AR may take off. VR may take off. We don't know,
Right.
right?
But it's
All
out
new
there and it's coming.
devices, right? Right.
Exactly.
And then there's
Yeah.
mobile, which is just this massive market that could also have some very big impacts.
I mean, and
So
there's, like Candy Crush thing, like it's like one of the number one games in the
yeah,
world,
it's
and it's
crazy.
a mobile game,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like, can you just imagine, and some people even down, I don't know. Like I said, gaming is to me is for everybody. So, and I hate it when somebody says, well, if you're playing on your phone, you're not a gamer. Bullshit. If you're
No,
playing on your phone and you're playing a game, you're a
you're a
gamer.
gamer. Exactly. That's
Period.
what I want. I want everybody. It's like the point of this would be to get rid of the stereotype, right? Is
Correct.
I
Yeah.
want everybody in the world to think they're a gamer because gaming should be fun for everyone, so that
Yeah.
everybody is entertained. That's the whole point, right? If you does anybody think it's weird to watch TV shows?
Mm-mm.
It is just stupid entertainment, isn't it? So
Right.
does it matter? Like, no, we should have the same thing for gaming. I don't care what you like gaming. If it's little like the Bejeweleds or
Right.
Candy Crushes or it's fine. Play that, have fun. The whole point is to have fun. Tetris is one of the best games ever, and it's
I agree
really
with you.
accessible.
Love it.
Play it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely, play it.
Play everywhere.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yep.
Oh man, it has been great having you on today, man. Thank you so much for bringing your enthusiasm and everything and your passion for gaming to the conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And hopefully you haven't minded it too much.
No, this has been great. This is great.
Oh man. So again, thank you so much for being on here today. I want to ask you one more quick question and then we'll
Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of wrap things up. But this is something I kind of like to ask everybody, and that's I guess what game that's coming out that's not out yet that I should say we all know about. So if you have any kind of insight into something coming out,
Yeah, I
what
know.
is not this is a, I'm just saying because sometimes I have to be careful. But a game that's coming out that everybody knows about that you're most looking forward to right now.
Uh, well, there's quite a few actually. They're all freaking delayed, right?
Right.
I think the closest might be Hogwarts Legacy. I think that game looks phenomenal. But look, Breath of the Wild 2, I've been waiting for that game for years, and
Yeah.
I'm chomping at the bit. I don't know if that means they're gonna have a new console, and that's why they keep delaying it, or if it's just they have to, the COVID impacts have made it a longer delay, a longer development cycle. But
Right.
man, I can't wait to play that game. But yeah, I think Hogwarts is probably the next one. I mean, Starfield looks good too. I don't want to but
No, no.
I think that's
You can
further
have
out.
more
That
than
might
one.
be later. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think Hogwarts is the one that it surprised me that it looked pretty cool and looked that good. So I'm hoping that'll be a good game. So we'll see. Gotham Knights is the next big game I'll play, right?
Hmm.
But I think that's just more of what we already know, and then this is just something new, right? It kind of looks
Right.
cool. But who knows, right? Like Elden
Right.
Ring came out of nowhere.
It did.
nowhere, right? Like people were
Love
excited,
it.
but they had no idea what it became, right? And so
Yeah,
who knows what the next one of those is going to be? That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it,
exactly.
right? We don't know what's going to
And I'll
come and
have
just
to
smash
admit,
everything.
I'll admit to you right now, I bought that game on Xbox,
Yep.
PlayStation, and my PC. And I haven't beat it on any of them, but
I
I
did
love
eventually beat
playing
that
the
game.
damn
Yeah.
game. I love playing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm right there with you. Now, with that said about the Hogwarts, and you say you've gotten rid of your PlayStation,
Correct.
what about this exclusive level? What are you gonna do with that? I'm just kidding.
Man, yeah.
Just not play it and
I
be
don't know
done with
why
it.
they do those things, but they do
Yeah,
them. I think I wouldn't mind if they said, "Hey, we bought 3-month exclusivity." That's cool, but locking part of the game to your console is just
yeah.
it's so annoying.
It, it does seem kind of a smack in the face kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like,
So
okay.
I'll probably be happy with it just like it is without
Yeah.
playing that particular level, unless
Yeah,
there's just
yeah.
some sort of big, amazing, which we'll all be able to, I'm sure, watch videos from somebody else playing it
Exactly.
and later and find
Exactly.
out what it is that we're missing out on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Sony's got to watch out for these things. The more they keep doing that, Microsoft has a big wallet, and they could
oh,
always
yes, they
walk over and
do.
say, "Oh, really? We were announcing the acquisition of Warner Discovery. Yeah, you can have fun with that assumption that you have that level forever."
Yeah,
No, you
yeah,
don't.
exactly, exactly. Or here be the funniest thing of all, which I know won't happen. But boy, wouldn't it be funny if and then, everybody's going to come at me. This is a joke. First of all, I'll say this, but I mean, like if Microsoft was like, oh, you like your Spider Man? That's great. Oh, we just purchased stakes in Disney and Marvel, and now
It's
all those are
not
going to be
unheard of.
exclusive to
Like,
us.
don't think they can't go buy Disney. They can.
They have the money, dude. That's
Microsoft
for
is
sure.
big. It's
Yeah, they are.
big.
Yeah, they are.
And they need to
So.
get into this space, and that is a catalog that is unenviably ridiculously large, right? You can't
Yep.
find. Netflix is pretty big. Disney is it's the prize. It's so much stuff. So
Yeah, it
don't
is.
don't put it past them. They
Yeah.
could, right?
Uh,
I think from a gaming perspective, I would love Warner Discovery, but
yeah.
Netflix or Disney are massive gets because they're the big subscriber counts, right? Netflix is huge and Disney's right there coming up, right? So they would want those to be able to say, I've got 200 million subscribers. I'm giving you Game Pass plus that for like
Yeah.
$5 more. Good God, are they going to make some, subscribers for Game Pass by doing
Yes.
something like that? So
Ooh.
yeah, don't put it past them. They could
Yeah.
easily do something like
Don't
that.
give Phil any ideas, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, they're probably already looking at it, to be
Oh, I'm
honest, right? They're
sure
probably
there's a
already
lot of
looking
things
at it, right?
there's a lot of
And
things
these
on the
guys all
table.
talk. These CEOs all talk. These are big CEOs. They all talk,
Yep.
right? And then there's backroom things like, hey, maybe this is a good partnership. Maybe I should spend the money, like buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this stuff could happen. You never know, right? So
Yeah. Well, with that said, I'm trying to wrap things up. Sorry, but do you think that there would be a possibility that Microsoft would try and go after like a Sega or a Square? I know a lot of people would really like if they did, but do you think it's something that's actually possible for
oh,
them to actually
100% possible.
acquire?
It's 100% possible.
Okay.
The question becomes like, is Phil going to be able to work with that team?
Hmm.
Right? So is the leadership that's entrenched there necessary? If it is, how do you then bridge that gap if they butt heads? I don't think
Right.
that's the case with either one of those, Square or Sega, because
Right.
Square has been working with Microsoft. They
Yep.
have put their games there. Outriders is a Square game that went day and
Hmm.
date, and they were happy with the performance. Right?
Yes.
They've been doing other partnerships. They have, they started at least the initiative working with one of their development studios to make their game Perfect Dark,
Yep.
right? So they were happy to do that. So I don't think there is an animosity there. So it is viable. The Sega thing, I mean, they've been working with Sega ever since the beginning, right?
Yep.
So that has been a partnership that's been going forever. So either one of those is good. The thing to look for what Phil already said what he's looking to do. He's going into areas that they're not in, right?
Right.
So that's what they're trying to look to do. What are they not in? Mobile is one of them. They just got King. Are they going to
Hmm.
expand that? PC, that's a big deal for them. They
Hmm.
did the Riot Games stuff. They're buying Blizzard, which is big. right? So is that good enough? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're going to expand in that area. And then the
Hmm.
other one is Asia games. They are just woefully lacking in that, right? They've got the
Hmm.
200 developers that they're working with. They just did Wolong with Koei Tecmo.
Hmm.
They could easily look at one of those publishers and say, yeah, that makes sense. I hear a lot of people saying Capcom, and I find that the last one that I would look at, because the
Right.
games are too Western. You want something that really is, massive in the Asia market,
Right.
and that's going to be a Square. It's going to be Koei Tecmo, or even Konami. Unfortunately, Konami is kind of out of, I don't know what they're making for games nowadays. We'll see what they, but
Pachinko boards.
Bandai Namco or Sega, and
Yeah.
those are good potential options. I wouldn't be surprised if Sega is one of the ones they're looking at. Square might have more of an attachment, and it's not like it can't be overridden with
Right.
Sony. And
Hmm.
if that happens, they might want to partner with Sony. The downside to these things is figuring out where, games that are very specific to each of the other platforms. Like Square makes games that are attached to Nintendo. Would
Hmm.
that stop? Right. And so
Right.
these are things you have to kind of think about, right? If you're going to go after somebody, it's good to get the IP and say, we have it. The downside is, like with Call of Duty, they're saying it's going to stay multi-plat for like 4 or 5 years or whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
What happens to those games that have an alignment with other platforms? Does it continue? It's great to even just say, fine, I'll leave it multi-plat, but I know it's coming to Game Pass and it's never going to skip me, right? If I had
Right.
Sega, Persona is always going to come to Xbox, right? It's
Hmm.
never going to say, oh, we'll get there a couple of years later, or we just never will, or something like that, right? Persona's common.
Right.
It's common to your platform. Yakuza's common to your platform, right? You get
Yep.
those. And that's kind of some of the things they could do. So Final Fantasy would never have this, oh, we're coming up to, to PlayStation for like 6 years, and then eventually you'll get it. It's like, no, day and date, it's coming. It's coming to Game Pass. It's coming to Xbox. You'll have it, right? And that gives that market confidence in this platform, that this is going to be a platform you will play games on that you like,
Hmm.
right? So that's what they're going to have to look at. And I know they're smart. They're doing a lot of good stuff. So I trust Phil. He's got the right vision. So I think they know what they're pulling next is going to be something in that realm. But yeah, because they've covered us. They have covered us. Like
Yeah.
they bought Bethesda to cover us. They bought a whole bunch of small studios that cover Western RPGs, and they just bought an ABK, right? Hopefully that goes through, but they bought ABK. That covers the Western market. I mean, come on, that's a lot for the
Yes.
Western market. They need to go
Definitely.
after Asia, and that is something they woefully are behind in as far as console market market share. So
Yeah. And with the
that's
Tokyo
going to be
Game
a way to
Show
go.
coming up next
Yeah,
week,
I hope they have some good announcements for people in those markets.
be nice if they had some surprise announcements too.
Yeah, there's no reason not to,
Hmm.
right? They could have some new
Right.
game announcements for the Japan market, right? So here are some
Right.
games we're making that are going to be focused on you. Yeah, they'll come to the U.S. as well, but or to the Western world as well, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, like that is what they need to focus on, I think. So, but you can hear it from Phil, right? He's looking at markets they're not in, and that's the right thing to do. They need to be
Exactly.
diverse. They need to be across everything. That's how you grow the ecosystem. They want 3 billion, right? They want 3 billion players.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And I want them to get there.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah,
Really do, because I think it's good for us that are
yes,
that are into, the ecosystem, and yeah, and good for gaming in general, especially with this Game Pass, and making it more affordable for,
yeah.
for all walks of life to be able to get into gaming. And I think it's awesome, and let's just hope that it goes in that direction. Hargeet Chani, dude, thank you so much for being here, all your time. I greatly appreciate it. Tell everybody how they can reach out and find you, because I was kind of hard for me to do, but
Yeah, yeah,
I finally did. So
yeah.
where can people find you at on there
Yeah,
on the
I
internets?
I am not on any of the major social media platforms,
I found that
um,
out.
but I am on Discord, and I think it's hchani on there too. But and then on Xbox, it's hchani as well. So that's how you can find me. And then
There.
absolutely check out our channel, GameOnDaily.com, and watch us on Game on Daily Go Live, or we have other shows coming, hopefully, and we'll see you there.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you everybody for being here today, and checking out this awesome video. Lots more videos in the works. In fact, before I let Hargeet completely go, I do have to, get him to give a little buzz into Gaz's ear again. Just saying. But
Yeah,
actually, I have talked to him several times, and he has agreed to come on at some point. He's a busy man. I know he's
yeah,
busy, especially with the couple of shows that he does. But I'm not giving up the ghost. I'm going to keep at him.
yeah.
Thank you
Gaz
again for
works a
being
lot.
here. Yeah, he does. He does. And got that beat button going. Oh, man. Thanks again for being here. And thanks everybody for joining us on Outbreak Gamers.